Hey everyone, welcome back to East Vineland, New Jersey. We're back here on Kubota Farm, and I was just stopping by our oil mill, oil factory, and a big fat zero. It must take a long time for oil to produce, because we've got sunflowers and we've got olives, and it is producing. Apparently it just takes a long time to get the job done. So that being said, what we're going to do, I think, is find our M7 and our M8. And we are going to get our field prepped. Our former poplar field. I think we should get it prepped up. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Boy, weekends go fast, don't they? Ay, ay, ay. It's amazing to me how quickly the weekends fly by. So let's see if we can have any luck with doing a double plow job. I don't know why that made me giggle, but it did. A double plow job on this poplar field. I like Farming Simulator has really come a long ways with the sounds, I think. I like that there's a bit of a rattle when you're driving and you're hitting bumps and stuff. It just adds. It's those little things, you know, that just add to the, I guess you would say, kind of the realism, or as my kids would say, the immersion of the game. Yes, I'm learning new words. Immersion. I am immersed in Farming Simulator. Do you think VR will ever come to Farming Simulator? I kind of wonder that. I would love to try VR for American Truck and Euro Truck. I think that'd be pretty slick. But Farming Simulator, I wonder if it ever will. I think the closest, obviously, for me is if I use eye tracking or head tracking, actually. But I haven't had my head tracking hooked up in quite a while. Maybe I should think about doing that. All right, so let's select the right field. And this is the way I did it last time, and it was really funky how I got two of them to work. So we're just going to go through this and see if we can do it. So the first thing we have to do, of course, is set up a job for our first tractor. Multiple tools, number of vehicles on the same course. On the same course. All right. This is what I did last time. I picked two. Number of headlands. I'm actually going to stick to 3 because things get a little squirrely when we get close to the road. We're going to start work on the headland. We're going to do sharp corners. So there's that. So we're going to generate a course, and you can see that it definitely knows there's going to be 2 tools because, well, look how far it's spaced out, right? Speaking of spaced out, I won't even go there. Now, that is done. And if we bring up the course play course, left 1, I'm going to pick. I want to start on the first waypoint. Yeah, definitely designed with two tools in mind. So left 1, first waypoint, go. Right? Hop out. Who's driving us? Not Sunglasses Dude, is it? No, it's not Sunglasses Dude. Then I bring this dude up. Actually, that's right. I bring up the course play course and it's not here. Multiple. I don't know what to do here, people. I'm going to assume I have to do this. I have to do this. Course play field work. It's got. I like the way it did this. 2 tools. Number of headlands 3. Headlands sharp. Generate. I think that's the. I don't know. I just don't know. First waypoint. Do I pick right one then, since the other one was left one? Huh. So he's doing that. Are you a dude? Oh, sunglasses guy. Dang it. So, okay. So I think I just had a little bit of an epiphany here. Is that the right word, epiphany? A thought, a something, an aha moment or something along those lines? So the left one and the right one. It looks like the right one, this is taking the right side of the course. And the other person is taking the left side of the course. So if we look at the full course, I know somebody that's watching this is going, yeah, see, Brad, you're getting it. Yeah, you're not as dumb as we all thought. Yeah, that's exactly what it's doing. Okay, so it creates a course that's twice the width of the implement you have, and then you pick the right and left side. Right? Correct, I should say? I think that's correct. I think I have come to a satisfying realization. How cool is that? Aren't you all glad that you're along for the ride when new discoveries happen for me in my little brain? I don't know if you're that happy about it or not, but oh goodness, that's what it is. Speaking of courseplay, we'll hop in the tractor here and pretend like we're working. I usually go out to Courseplay's website, and I will download the latest version of Courseplay. That's just me being me. I probably shouldn't do that. I should probably just stick with the, what's in the mod hub. Sorry about that. Had a little issue with the microphone. Anyways, I should probably just stick with what's in the mod hub, but I don't. So I went out and grabbed, I think it was, because in the mod hub it's 7.2, and on the website it was 7.2.1 or something like that, and I'm like, oh, a little update, I'll grab it. Well, I found that it was causing a problem. Whenever I would exit the game, or the map, a map, not the game itself, but a map, it wouldn't exit the map properly, and it would it was really weird. Like, it would bring up a screen, my entire monitor would have me underneath the map. And it started doing that, and I started thinking, the tech side of me goes, well, what have I done? What have I added? What have I changed? And Courseplay didn't immediately come to mind. The first thing I did was I did a file verification on Steam. That's something I do whenever I have any problems, unless I'm really confident that I just added a mod and the problem just started. If it happens like that, I pretty much go straight mod, right? But in this situation, I had updated Courseplay, probably 3 or 4 days earlier, and it really didn't come to my brain, but I did a file verification, and sure enough, Steam did find, it said it found a file that didn't pass verification, and it was replaced. That's not super uncommon. Sometimes, I don't know if that's uncommon or a thing that everybody sees that plays through Steam, but for me, maybe because I mess around with the XML files. If you mess around with an XML file in the game, Steam verification is generally going to find that file was touched and it doesn't like it and it wants to change it, right? So it did that, but the problem persisted, and then it dawned on me, Courseplay. And I swapped it out to the in-game mod hub version, and I haven't had the problem since. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Mods can be strange sometimes, and do weird things, and sometimes it's not even, sometimes it's not even the mod. Sometimes it's the mod and another mod. And maybe it's another mod that actually has the problem, but the problem didn't show itself. Boy, I just had a really weird moment there for a second. I'm either about ready to have a stroke, but I swear I just smelled wet soil. That was so weird. I think it's supposed to be burning toast you have to worry about, but I swear for just a moment there, I smelled wet soil. Anyways, but if you follow what I'm saying, you know, everybody says, you know, they blame a mod, you know, and sometimes it is a mod, but sometimes I've had the experience where it's actually not a particular mod, it's the fact that a particular mod does something that caused another mod to have a problem because it had a problem, and it wasn't seen until another mod brought it out. Yeah, I know, I'm talking in circles a little bit, but I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. And it's hard to track down faulty mods sometimes, but for me, tracking down faulty mods, I usually, if I'm pretty confident it's a mod thing, I normally, and I'm really not sure what mod it is, like it's just, I'm just in the dark, I'm going to just start eliminating. What I do is I eliminate chunks. So I'll go through, like, starting on letter A all the way through letter, let's say, G, and disable all the mods in that alphabetic group. And if the problem goes away, now I've narrowed the problem down to a mod that starts with the letter A through G. And I just keep narrowing it down like that. Sometimes you're lucky and you get it, you know, right away, and sometimes you get down to your last grouping of letters and you finally find it. But that's always worked for me, is just kind of narrowing down by alphabet. And another thing with mods, and I've seen recently, I saw a video, and it wasn't necessarily a bad way of doing things. The person was basically going over how to customize mod folders per map. And it just seemed convoluted, a little convoluted to me the way they were doing it. It works the way they were doing it, and I can see the benefit in the way they were doing it, but for me it's really, really simple. And unless you are really tight on drive space, which most people aren't these days because drives are pretty cheap and most people generally have a lot of hard drive space available to them. And you don't even need a lot, but you know what I'm saying. You're not like scraping down megabytes to keep your PC running. All I do, and it's so simple, is I will just, in the Farming Simulator game folder, so it's usually under, you know, My Games, Farming Simulator 22, where your mod folder is. So wherever your mod folder resides, all I do is I create a new folder called, let's say, East Vineland Mods. Maybe I just call it EV Mods or something like that. And I will put all the mods, copies, mind you, of all the mods that I use for East Vineland in that folder. Now granted, I'll have, in that situation, I'll have a copy in my standard game mods folder, but I also have a copy in my East Vineland mods folder. And that's why I say hard drive space, because if you're really tight on, oh, are you guys gonna, let's check this out. They shouldn't hit, right? Yeah, nice. Nicely done, Courseplay. So, I think I have probably 6, 7, maybe even 8 mod folders in my game folder. EV mods for East Vineland. I had a Buchern one when we were doing Buchern. I've got one for Elm Creek when I'm doing Mod Minute videos. And all I do is just rename them. So let's say I am playing, we're playing East Vineland right now. I renamed my standard mod folder to, let's say, maybe, I think I add an S to it or something like that, or two S's to it, or anything you want to name it. You could just name it standard mods. And then I renamed my EV mods folder to just mods. And the game will read whatever folder has the right name for your mods folder. And that's all I do. It's super simple. It's not complicated. It's exceptionally easy to do. It's fast. It takes 5 seconds to rename your folders. So whatever folder you want for whatever map you're playing, just rename it to the standard mods folder name, which I think is, for Farming Simulator, is it mods or mod? I forget if it's plural or not. But anyways, I think you get the idea. The two disadvantages to doing this are, one, more drive space, which, again, I don't think is a big issue for most people. I love the way this person is plowed field. That's fantastic. And then, the other downside to it is when you update a mod, you have to either, one, update it manually if it exists in more than one folder. So for instance, easy dev controls I have on all my maps. So when easy dev controls gets updated, I will either, one, just let it update normally in-game like you normally do, or two, I'll just go out to Giant's website, grab a copy, and toss it in all the folders where I know it exists. So the biggest downside for me is just keeping up with the latest versions, but the way I get around that is every time I start the game, if I'm switching maps, every time I start the game, I just really quick go to the updates part of the in-game mod hub and run updates if I forget to keep the latest version. And it may sound like a lot of work, but it's really not, because number one, mods aren't updated that often, not the same mod at least, and two, I generally it's fast to do it through the in-game mod hub. So even if I had 10 mods in 3 different folders that I had to update 3 times, it's still not a large thing. Now, if they're maps, that's a different story, but I treat map updates differently anyways, because one, they're generally larger files, and two, a lot of times you have to have new save games for maps. So I'm a little more cautious on map updates. But everything else, if it needs an update, I just look at the updates before I start playing. But that's the way I do it. This other video was, I honestly I watched about halfway through it and I'm like, wow, this seems really convoluted, just the way they were doing it. There is a piece of software out there that you can get on King Mods, and I'll try to leave a link to it below here in the description. And I've seen modders, different modders, I think, attempt to make this software every version of the game. There's at least one of these that pops up. This actually might be out on GitHub. And what it is it's a mod management piece of software. And what it attempts to do is exactly what I was just talking about, but it does it on its own. So what it will do is it will manage multiple folders for you. And I played around with it quite a bit, and I actually, to be honest, I actually thought it was really a pretty decent piece of software. But I guess we're just gonna, I don't know why are you plowing plowed ground? Are you plowing the same ground that, let's go see what this person's doing. So they're gonna head over there. I'm not entirely sure what they're doing. Or, no, you're not done. Oh, no, sir. Well, I guess it thinks it's done. I don't know how I screwed that up. Somehow I screwed that up. It attempts to do what I was just talking about, but it attempts to do it in a way that is kind of doing it for you. So this is, now we need the right-hand side. Maybe I thought I started on the first waypoint. Let's go right. Let's go nearest waypoint. I'm just super curious to see if it'll pick it up right here. Let's see what it does here. It almost seems like I didn't start my right-handed tractor at the right spot, but I swear I picked first waypoint for it. Interesting. So yeah, it's like Mod Manager, FS22 Mod Manager. I'll try and find it just if you want to take a look at it. I think it actually does what it's supposed to do, and it's one of the better ones I've seen. The downside to it is mostly, one, it's a portable app. And if you're not familiar by what that means, it basically means that you could put it on a flash thumb drive and just store it on there. There's no installation to it. The downside to that, though, is every time it starts, it has to completely read your mod folder over again. And if you're like me and you have a lot of mods in your mod folder, that can take a while, even on a good SSD drive. Like, even on a Samsung 970 Pro or whatever you're running, it takes a while for it to read all those, because it's not only it's reading all the metadata and everything that the mod is associated with. And so I wish it had an installer. I think they might be thinking about making one. But that's the main downside. It's just every time you run it, unless you close it and you rerun it right away, and the information is in memory, it takes a while, a nice long while. Unless you're only running like 100 mods, maybe you'll be okay with it. I'm running considerably more than 100 mods, and it just takes a while. The second thing I didn't like about it was it's a little bit hard to, it's got a steep learning curve on what it's trying to do. So if you're not real patient, and if you're not super comfortable with figuring the way software works and stuff like that, you may not like it. It took me a while to just kind of get the idea of what it was doing. By the time I figured it out, I think the killer for me was, A, the length of loading, because it had to read all my mods, and 2, I just thought my way is just simpler. I just create multiple folders, rename them, and call it a day. So that's just all I do. I don't know if that's of interest to anybody, but I thought I would talk a little bit about mod management. There's also a lot of talk about how you need to, now this is all PC talk, sorry console players, but you know, there's a lot of talk about how the game will slow way down if you've got too many mods and all this nonsense. It's just not the way the game works. The game doesn't load. If you have 1,000 mods in your mod folder, when the game starts, it's not loading 1,000 mods. It's loading a very small bit of each one of them, so that it can display them at the beginning of when you start a map. It's basically loading metadata is really what it's doing, or a pointer to the mod. It's saying, hey, these are all the mods you have available. Then when you enable them, that's when the mods get actually loaded to go into a map. So there is some truth on older equipment that if you started a map and you've got 100 mods loading, there is truth to the fact that probably, A, it will take longer for the map to load because it's actually loading the mods and enabling them, and also it is taking more memory resources to do that. That is true. You can't argue with that. But unless you've got a lot of mods and you're just saying enable all for every map you play, which maybe you are doing, you're not going to notice much of a difference. And on today's computer hardware, and when I say today's computer hardware, I'm not talking about going out right now and spending, you know, $2,500 on a system. I'm kind of referring to anything that you pretty much either bought or built. Well, maybe not bought, because that's a whole nother rant I need to go on at some point. But anything that you probably, let's say you build your own PC, anything that you've probably built in the last 5 years, is just, it's not going to really impact it a great deal. CPUs, RAM, if you're running SSDs, a decent graphics card, it's just, these things are so, they have so much power to them that it's just not, you know, it's just not really going to make that much of a difference. Now, is it possible occasionally it could? Sure, absolutely, but that's when you have to start looking at the mods then themselves. Because I have loaded certain mods where the polygon count and the textures are so massive that your FPS just drops like a, you know, like a bag of dirt when you're around them or something. But generally speaking, if they're in the in-game mod hub, Giants has already gone over all of that. Giants isn't going to allow, they have a maximum poly count that they allow, especially for crossplay. And yeah, so don't get caught up in the hype. Don't Google search, you know, how do I get better performance out of my farming simulator gameplay, and get caught up in, well, you need to, you know, eliminate a bunch. Yeah, don't start by eliminating a bunch of mods. That's not the groundwork by any means. The number one by a mile that is going to impact performance for farming simulator is graphics. End of story. Even if you go from an SSD to an old school spindle drive, you know, a regular hard drive, SATA hard drive, you know, that actually spins the platters, even if you do that, you're still not going to see a massive performance difference anywhere near you would if you adjust your graphics settings. By a mile, by a long shot. So, and it's crazy too, because I have friends that, you know, when they're speccing out PCs, they ask for advice and stuff, and they're saying, hey, you know, Brad, what do you recommend if I'm building this computer? Or I'm building, you know, if I'm building a gaming PC and so on and so forth. And they're like, and I don't want to play things like, you know, I know you play Farm Sim, but I want something that's going to play like major titles, like, I don't know. I don't even know what a major title is right now. And I'm like, wow. Farming Simulator, in my library of Steam games, and I've got quite a few games, variety of games, but even newer titles, Farming Simulator is one of the, is right up there at the top for demanding games as far as PCs, graphics, processing, the whole 9 yards goes. And it's funny because I think a lot of people don't expect that to be true. They don't expect a game like Farming Simulator. They see simulator, and I think they think of games, you know, like indie games and stuff, simulator games that don't require a lot of horsepower and stuff. You know what, Mr. Hose, Mr. Man? That's why I don't use you. Oh, I'm not going to use chainsaw. Sorry, Kubota, didn't mean to scare you. But by a long shot, Farming Simulator, American Truck, Euro Truck, these are games that are demanding. It's crazy how much more demanding sometimes these games are over others. And I know some people immediately kind of shoot towards, well, that's because, you know, Farming Simulator isn't very well optimized and things like that. Well, potentially, is there better optimization that can happen? Maybe. I don't know. I can't really comment on that because I don't have that kind of knowledge. You know, it'd be easy to say yes and point the finger, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. But What I do know is Farming Simulator is a demanding game, and it's not going to get any better. Each year it comes out, it is going to be more hardware intensive. And that's why I don't know how. I would expect console usage to go up in the future quite a bit, especially if prices continue to do what they're doing for PC hardware, especially graphics cards. The new NVIDIA 4000 series is ridiculously priced. I might be running the last NVIDIA card I run, and I'm a big NVIDIA fan. I'm a huge AMD fan for CPUs, and I am a big NVIDIA fan for graphics. But I'll tell you, if NVIDIA keeps going the way they are going, and raising their prices 20-25% each time they come out with a new card, yeah, that's probably not really going to be in my future. Maybe an AMD card will be. They seem to be on the right track with their pricing. They seem to understand the fact that you can have more performance each time and spend either the same or less. So I don't know. It's either going to be an AMD graphics card if things continue the way they are, or it's going to be moving to console, which I really don't want to do. Sorry, console players, but I've tasted the fruit of open mods, and it would be really difficult for me to go back to consoles unless they open up mods and allow scripting mods. It's being spoiled, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I don't have a clue what we're going to be doing with these fields. We have wheat growing, it looks like here. And I'm pretty sure our permanent grass field here. More wheat there, and I think that's it. I think all these fields up here are prepped but nothing planted. Needs plowing. Oh, that's our olive grove. I did a little looking into that too. Like, are you supposed to just ignore this needs plowing in olive fields and in like grapevine or grape vineyards and stuff? And apparently, yes. The answer is yes. I guess you're just supposed to ignore it. So, which is a little disturbing because if you start looking at your precision farming score, you lose out, right? I believe you do. Or maybe you don't. Maybe it's actually a benefit. I don't know. 99, 77 here. And we always get a low score until, that's that nitrogen business, isn't it? Yeah. I may have to drag our sprayer around another. I thought we already did these two fields with that, though. But anyways, I've also been told, and I don't know if this is true or not, it looks to be a little evident, which is so confusing to me. So, the weeds here that we killed by using the See and Spray, we're still being penalized for letting them grow. But yet, if you go into precision farming, weed control, you won't get any kind of a score on weed control unless you do weed control. And I don't think, I could be wrong, but the most you can score is if you use a sprayer. They don't want you dragging a weeder around. Maybe I'll have to try that, but I think that's my understanding, is they don't want you dragging a weeder around. And why would you weed? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, let's go here for a sec. Just bear with me. I definitely appreciate it. Not a good example. Oh, because we plowed. Yeah. We have to go to a field. Did we plow up here? We plowed there. Man, Brad, did you plow every stinking field on the map? Apparently the answer is yes. I guess we did do a lot of plowing. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I think that actually brings up a good point. So since we plowed, we're not going to get weeds. And that brings us back to what we were doing, right? Where we were driving around with our See and Spray sprayer with some herbicide in it and spraying on these fields for like 2 seconds. Because if you plow, you don't get weeds. But with precision farming, if you don't deal with weeds, you don't get points. It's just stupid. It's stupid. And soybeans now, right? Soybeans don't soybeans don't require, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe soybeans, man, why does that sound so weird? Am I saying that weird? Soybeans. They don't require fertilizer. I believe that's true in precision farming, I think. So then you don't get points for fertilizing because you planted soybeans. So I think Giants, I don't know if they can do anything, but I think they need to take a long look at the precision farming part of this game and say, we need to make some adjustments here because people are, if you have to drag a weed sprayer around all of your land and spray for 2 seconds in order to get your precision farming score up, there is something wrong with how you've implemented that part of the game. I don't know how you can argue with that. I mean, there just is. So, all right. I'm sure I've kept you way too long. My apologies, and I do appreciate you sticking with me and listening to my babbling. If you have any questions about mods, about how to deal with them, about finding tricky ones, or if you want more information on how I make mod folders and you want me to just do a video on that, I'd be more than happy to do that. It's pretty straightforward. Maybe I will just make a video on it and just show kind of my way of doing it. It's, to me, it's a less complicated and easy to control. So, anyways, thanks everyone. I'm gonna have to take a peek around and see. I don't think we have anything else to sell in December. I was looking at our oil plant because I think canola or one of the oils sells in December, but it's not looking like we're gonna have any of that produced in time. So we'll just be chucking through the winter months here pretty quickly over this week, I think, and getting all of our sales out of the way. And we'll go from there. But take care, everyone. Thanks. Happy Monday. I will see you back here in East Vineland tomorrow. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.